Why does it seem like we are all losing our memories? Is this the beginning of something much bigger, or just a symptom of an era dominated by digital chaos? It is with this question that I usually begin my lectures to students, and the reaction is always the same. Hands raised throughout the room, accompanied by nervous laughter, as if confessing a collective sin. Almost everyone believes that their memory is getting worse. It doesn't matter if they are 15, 20, or 25 years old. Everyone has the feeling that something is wrong. But here's the paradox. At that age, biologically, your memory should be working at full speed. There is no natural decline in memory before later decades, unless there is a serious neurological problem. So why are so many people, especially healthy young people, convinced they can no longer remember things? The explanation is actually simpler and scarier than it seems. The problem isn't memory, it's attention. We live in a world where we are bombarded by stimuli every second. Imagine the scene. You are working on the computer, focused on a task. Suddenly your cell phone vibrates. It's a message that, rationally, you know you don't need to respond to right now, but just hearing the sound or seeing the notification diverts your attention. You think, I'll respond later, but the damage has already been done. The train of thought was interrupted. The brain, which was in full concentration, needs to start again, like an engine that stops working and has to be restarted. Before you can regain focus, another message arrives. Then one more, and without realizing it, you find yourself swiping your finger across the screen, lost in a sea of images and videos while work falls behind you. And here's the most disturbing part. This is not just a harmless habit, it is a design trap. Studies show that the apps and social networks we use daily are meticulously designed to capture and keep our attention for as long as possible. Every like, every vibe, every notification is like a little shot of dopamine in the brain, a temporary feeling of reward. Over time, this creates dependence. Think about children. Take away their cell phone for a few minutes and see how they react. Anxiety, irritation, even outbursts of anger. It seems exaggerated, but it's not. This behavior is a reflection of what happens in the brain. Devices not only dominate our attention, they also begin to shape our emotions, turning small distractions into major crises. But how does this affect memory? Here's the crux. To remember something, you need to pay attention to it. The human brain is not a machine that automatically stores everything it sees or hears. He needs to select the most relevant information, process it, and only then transform it into memory. When you're consuming content at high speed, listening to a podcast in 2x mode while scrolling Instagram, for example, you're forcing your brain to deal with more stimuli than it can process. In the end, he simply discards everything. This is the reason why, at the end of the day, you can't remember what you studied, what you heard, or even an important conversation you had. It's not that your memory failed, you simply never gave your brain a chance to store this information. But there's something even more intriguing here. The brain is selective for a reason. He knows he can't store everything. If you tried, you would soon be overwhelmed, unable to deal with new information. So, he developed a system. He only keeps what he considers important. And guess what the brain deems important? That which receives your undivided attention. If you're watching a video while checking messages or thinking about something else, your brain interprets it as irrelevant. And if it's not important, why remember it? This lack of attention doesn't just affect memory. It has a profound impact on how you feel. Maybe you've noticed, after spending hours scrolling through social media, there's a strange emptiness, a sense of loss. It's like something is wrong, but you can't put your finger on it. The truth is that this behavior makes us more anxious, more stressed, and in many cases, even depressed. After all, we are spending our most precious resource time on activities that do not add anything significant to us. And here's the irony. The more we try to consume information at high speed, the less we retain. The more connected we are, the more distracted we become. Now I ask you, can you remember the last time you gave something your full attention? A book you read without stopping to check your phone? An uninterrupted conversation? A task that started and ended without diverting focus? If you had difficulty answering, know that you are not alone, but there is a way out. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. Because if attention is the problem, the solution may be closer than you think. Get ready to discover how to take back control of your time, your attention, and, above all, your memory. Imagine the following scenario. You are sitting at your desk, determined to finish an important task. The day looks promising, and you are confident that nothing will get in your way. But then the cell phone vibrates. It's a notification, maybe a message, maybe an irrelevant alert for some promotion. You think, no problem, I'll just take a quick look. But this little peek is the beginning of a dangerous cycle. Before you know it, it's already happening on social media. You find yourself watching short videos, each one flashier and faster than the last. Your mind, which was once focused, is now caught up in an endless merry-go-round of stimuli. Suddenly, the task that seemed simple turns into an impossible mission. You've already experienced this, haven't you? This is the reality for many of us. We live in a world that competes fiercely for our attention. From cell phone notifications to social media algorithms, everything is designed to capture and retain the most of our time. But what's really at stake here isn't just time. It's our ability to focus, think, and most importantly, remember. The battle for attention, how digital distractions are impacting our memory and lives in today's fast-paced digital world. Our attention is constantly being pulled in multiple directions. Notifications, social media, and endless content compete for our focus, making it increasingly difficult to concentrate on any one task. Research shows that these distractions can lead to cognitive overload, reducing our ability to retain information and perform tasks efficiently. As our memory becomes fragmented, we may find it harder to recall important details and experiences. Imagine that you wake up and, before you even get out of bed, you pick up your cell phone. It's almost a reflex. You're not alone. Studies show that more than 80% of people start their day by checking notifications, social media, or emails. Sounds harmless, right? But what many don't realize is that this morning habit is shaping the way we think, feel, and interact with the world. Now here's a question. What happens when we spend hours passively consuming content, jumping from one image to another, from one video to the next? Science has the answer. Recent research reveals that excessive use of social media can lead to a phenomenon called cognitive fatigue. Basically, our brain becomes overloaded with so many rapid and fragmented stimuli. Not only does this drain our attention span, it also makes us more anxious and, in some cases, even depressed. Think of social media as an endless buffet. You consume a photo, then another, a funny video, and soon you're watching something you don't even remember why you started. Each new image or video is like a spoonful, easy to digest in the moment, but empty of substance. The problem, when you finally pull away, you realize that you are mentally exhausted and emotionally empty. But what's behind this exhaustion? Social media design is not random. Algorithms are programmed to capture and keep your attention for as long as possible. Everything, from the eye-catching colors to the background music, was designed to engage your brain. So when you swipe down your feed, you are literally entering a psychological game designed to be addictive. Consider the famous infinite scroll feature, which prevents you from reaching an end. A 2021 study showed that people spend, on average, 30% more time in apps that use this functionality. This is no coincidence, it's strategy. And it's not just adults who are being affected. In a story that touched many people, a mother shared how her 10-year-old daughter became agitated and anxious after losing her cell phone for just a few hours. When he finally got it back, the child spent more than an hour scrolling without even noticing the time passing. In the end, I was angry and, oddly enough, sad. This behavior is not isolated. Children and teenagers, especially, are more vulnerable because their brains are still developing. Too much screen time can interfere with your ability to create memories, regulate emotions, and even form deep relationships. Now let's take a break. Reflect. How many times have you caught yourself stuck in this cycle? How much of your time was sucked up by something that seemed insignificant but ended up dominating your day? This moment of breathing is important because recognizing the problem is the first step to finding a solution. But here's a turning point. It's not just about how much time we spend on social media, but how that time makes us feel. Consider this. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that reducing social media use to just 30 minutes a day can significantly lower levels of anxiety and depression. In other words, the more we disconnect, the more we connect with ourselves. But disconnecting is not as easy as it seems. There's a reason you feel empty or restless when you try to step away from your cell phone. Psychologists explain that this is similar to drug withdrawal. Your brain has become so used to dopamine spikes that without them you feel like something is missing. And here's the irony. The same social networks that promise to connect and entertain us are actually contributing to an increase in loneliness and dissatisfaction. Think about it. When was the last time you spent quality time with someone without looking at your phone? So what can we do? First, we need to redefine our relationship with technology. This does not mean abandoning social media completely, but learning to use it consciously. For example, set specific times to check your cell phone, limit notifications, and most importantly, practice moments of total disconnection. A simple but effective trick is to leave your cell phone out of your room at night. This not only improves sleep quality, but also reduces the temptation to start the day by scrolling through feeds. Another powerful practice is replacing screen time with activities that nourish your mind and body. Reading a book, walking outside, talking to a friend without interruptions. Small changes can have a profound impact. What would your life be like if you took back control of your attention? Imagine having more time for the things that really matter, your goals, your passions, your true connections. If this idea inspires you, I want to invite you to continue this journey with me. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share with someone who needs to hear this. Together, we can find a balance between technology and well-being and build a life with more focus, more meaning, and more happiness. Because no end, life is not measured by the number of notifications we receive, but by the depth of memories we create. We have reached the decisive point. Along this journey, we explore how attention shapes our memory, how technology captures our focus, and the effects this has on our mental and emotional health. But now, it's time to answer the most important question. How can we take back control and use our attention as a tool to live better? The answer lies in a simple yet powerful concept: conscious choice. The choice to prioritize what really matters, to invest our energy in worthwhile experiences, in moments that create lasting memories and not just scattered fragments. It all starts with small actions, gestures that may seem insignificant at first, but have the potential to completely transform the way we live. Imagine a different scenario from the one we live in today. A day when you wake up, but instead of picking up your cell phone, you decide to start with a moment of reflection, perhaps a walk, a quiet coffee. Instead of scrolling through endless feeds, you focus on a meaningful task without interruptions. On that day, at the end, you feel like you lived fully, with focus and purpose. This isn't just a distant ideal, it's a real possibility. Now let's get to something practical. There are 3 pillars to rebuilding your relationship with attention. Disable non-essential notifications, set times to check messages and social networks, and reserve moments without any digital interaction. This gives your brain the time it needs to process and reorganize information, which is crucial for maintaining your mental health. Choose an important task and immerse yourself in it for a set period of time, 30 minutes, 1 hour. During this time, eliminate distractions and focus fully. You'll be surprised at how much you can accomplish when you direct your full attention. Connect with the people around you. Dedicate full attention to a conversation, a meal, or a moment of leisure. This not only improves your relationships, but also creates rich, meaningful memories that will last a lifetime. But what happens if you don't do anything? The reality is that inaction is also a choice. Choosing not to change means continuing in the same cycle. Constant distractions, mental fatigue, and the feeling that time is slipping away without you having actually lived. And here's an important truth. Time is the only resource we can never get back. What you do with it today defines who you will be tomorrow. Now I want you to imagine something. Think about the impact of living a more mindful, less distracted life. Imagine what you could create, learn, and achieve. Think of the connections you would strengthen, the memories you would make, and the clarity you would feel knowing you're in control of your time. This is not just a dream, it is something that is within your reach. And that's why I want to invite you to take the next step. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel right now. Turn on notifications, but only the essential ones, so you don't miss the next videos where we'll explore even more tools and strategies for living with purpose and focus. Like this video if you believe this message needs to reach more people, and share in the comments. What will be the first step you will take to regain control of your attention? Your story can inspire others who are struggling with the same challenges. I want to thank you for getting here. This already shows that you are committed to your evolution and willing to make better choices. That in itself is a big step. See you in the next video where we'll continue this conversation and explore together ways to transform the way we live. Because life is too short to be wasted on distractions, and it's long enough to create something extraordinary. Until then, take care of your attention, your memory, and above all, yourself.